website, and there's a lot of different places where it simply says apply, and you build what's called a VIP account, and it shouldn't take very long. And if you get stuck, we're always here to help you. And then you do that application, you select your program, and you send it to us, and then it's going to start a series of communications that go out to what are the next steps. And we'll need a high school transcript, not for most certificates, but for any other associate degree or technical diploma, which might be 1 or 2 years in length. And if you have a GED or HSED, we'll take that transcript. Then we also need testing scores. I know a lot of schools, you may have heard, especially if you have students who are in high school now looking, a lot of schools have what they say eliminated testing, which may or may not be accurate. They've eliminated it for admissions purposes. So we would take an ACT. If you have completed a GED in 2014 or after that, we'll take that instead in lieu of testing scores, or you can do the AccuPlacer. And AccuPlacer is an online test, and we can proctor it virtually, or you can come to campus. So we can make it as easy as needed for you. We waive testing if students come to us and they have a transcript of 3.0 or higher for high school, if they've earned a prior associate degree or higher. And I'm guessing a lot of the people who we're sending from our business and industry may or may not have an associate degree or technical diploma. And again, I talked about if you've earned a GED from Moraine Park and you've gotten, since 2014 or latter, you've done other testing related to that. Then we want your high school transcripts. And we also want, what will be required is if you go into a program like nursing, childcare. I know a lot of you might be business or manufacturing related, but you may also be working for the health care industry, a lot of our healthcare programs, and then stuff like corrections science, EMT, those will all require a background check at the front end in order to be admitted.
So Sally, with the AccuPlacer, because I know that I have heard of it before, can you kind of tell us, what is it testing? Is it kind of some basic knowledge?
It's 3 primary areas: reading, writing, comprehension, and math. And so, of course, I want to be really clear that those scores do not eliminate anybody from a program ever. What they really do is they identify if a student is lower, for example, in math, and you're going to go into something like welding or in a manufacturing area that has certain level of math needed, that they're going to do skill building so that they aren't going to struggle as much in a course, so that they'll be successful in the program course.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so the next steps in the application process after this, I guess we have some tips for a jump start. You had given us some tips. So if they want to jump start into a program, what are some ways to do that?
Well, and I would tell you, one, we know that if you've attended high school, even in the last 10 years in our district, we have had, and longer in some, but it depends on the courses. You may have already earned dual credit in high school. So you might have those credits earned already, and they would be on transcript here at the college. If you have strong Microsoft Office skills, I would encourage people to try to test out of the computer literacy, which is a first course for almost all of the programs. And then if you're undecided, and we have a lot of that, but you kind of have an idea of areas, we want you to meet with a recruiter. And then you can kind of get more details about, these are my interests, this is the job I want to, aspire to. And I'd encourage also people who are currently employed to talk to their employers about what they would be interested in having the skills and moving up in an organization if that's an interest of an employee.
Mm-hmm.
Then the last thing that I would talk about is a lot of people come to us and they said, oh, I've been in this field for X years. Can I get credit for work experience or life experience? And the answer is yes. But then at that point, my knowledge level wanes and then I turn it over to Greg.
All right. Well, and that's exactly where we're going to go. So, Greg, we'll talk to you about credit for prior learning, and with that comes maybe some work experience, some credit for work experience. So, can you tell us about that and how you approach it if a potential student comes to you?
Sure. I guess I would say, to me, credit for prior learning in this situation probably maybe falls in two different areas. The first one I would mention is previous college credit. I know I've talked to a lot of people that are out in the workforce, and they say, well, I attended college once way back right after high school and took a couple classes, but that's not really going to count for anything, is it? And honestly, in a lot of cases, it will. If students have completed courses, especially general education courses, like if they took a college math course or a college English course, something in psychology, if they've completed those courses previously, there's really not a time limit on those. So they could submit a transcript to us and potentially get some credit that way for courses maybe that they've taken a while ago that they really don't think are worth anything. So I always ask students about that, if they've been to college before, and if they were, what did they complete there? Because in a lot of cases, like I said, they can earn some credit based on those courses they might have completed previously. The other aspect that you were talking about is we do also allow students to transform their work experiences or the skills and abilities they've developed through their current career into credit here at Moraine Park. And that's really, it's a matter of identifying what types of work they've done in the past and how it relates to our programs of study here. And if individuals have, we have a lot of people out in the workforce with some really valuable experiences in manufacturing, and they really relate directly to a lot of the things that we teach here in our programs. That's the information that we're going to want to know on the front end, so we can start to identify how those skills and abilities that they already have might meet some of the requirements in the program that they're going to get into. And really, I think, to me, the best way to start that is to visit our credit for prior learning page on our morainepark.edu website. And there's a simple form that they can fill out. It gives us some demographic information about the individual, and then they can write a brief summary of what type of experiences they have. If they know what program they're interested in going into, I can get in touch with them. We can talk about what courses in that program might be good opportunities for them. Or if they're undecided, we can talk with, I've sent that information along to our deans, to instructors in some program areas, and said to them, okay, this is the experience that the student has. What program would be a program that might be a good fit for them where they could utilize some of this experience to earn some college credit? So that's really the first step to that. Once we've identified which courses are going to match with the student's experience, then we encourage them to put together a portfolio of information. And, the word portfolio, sometimes people are intimidated by that because they think, oh, it's this great big booklet and really it's not. It's simply putting together some information that illustrates how the skills and abilities that you have relate to a course here at Moraine Park. So that portfolio is going to include a resume that shows what you've done throughout your career. And then it's going to include some writing on the student's behalf, where the student writes about, what types of things they've learned and what types of things they do on a regular basis at their job. And then also it's going to include what we call some verifying information, which might be a letter from their supervisor, might be any type of industry certification or workplace training that they've gotten. They can submit that. But it's just those materials really show that yes, that the experience that the student has meets the competencies for the course that they want to get credit for. So they put that all together in a portfolio and send it out, and we look at it. And when it meets the requirements, the student gets credit for that. And it's a fairly straightforward process, and it's one that has a lot of support to it. I'm here to help students kind of facilitate the paperwork part of it in terms of putting the portfolio together correctly and submitting it. Our instructors are here. Our dean is here to provide feedback to make sure that we're truly seeing what skills and abilities the individual has.
So Greg, should they apply? We said in the very beginning, the first step is to apply to the college. Is that true as well if they're looking at credit for prior learning or work experience?
Yeah, the thing that I tell students all the time is that we offer credit, what we call credit via experience or credit for prior learning. We offer that as an incentive for our students so that they're motivated to get a degree or diploma or certificate from us. That's the purpose that we offer it. So we really, before they get too far along in the credit for prior learning process, we really want to see them have an application in place and get accepted into the program. And once that's done, then we can certainly talk more about submitting that portfolio and getting approved for credit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. I know that I don't believe we have any other information specifically today. We have information on Greg's information and Sally's information. Oh, what are the costs? Yes, I'm sorry. That was one of the things that people have asked me. So, and I thought I would put this in here. These are nominal costs, correct? As far as applying, the AccuPlacer, a portfolio review, those types of things. Can you kind of give an idea on some costs?
I can jump in as far as the application and the AccuPlacer. The college application is a $30 one-time fee. So if an individual perhaps has applied for a certificate or other, like a nursing or EMT, that may already have been paid. And so it's one time, and we'd verify that with the application. The AccuPlacer is a $15 fee, but we are finding fewer and fewer students even in need of it, because the majority of students coming to us from the last several years out of high school, and not necessarily a direct from, we're required to take ACT, so they already have those scores in place for us. The only thing I would warn people, and because we don't want to surprise them and we want to be transparent, if they are going into a program that requires a background check, that is not a Moraine Park fee that's associated to it. And that is, I believe, $40 or $45. And it actually goes through a third party who does a statewide check on that individual, because they can't get into clinicals or may not be able to be employed in certain fields if there's an issue with the background check. So that is actually done outside of the college.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good point. And then Greg, what about the portfolio review? Is there a cost to that?
Yeah, if students pursue credit via experience and submit a portfolio, we charge a $90 processing fee. And that $90 processing fee is for each course that's included in the request. Some students might put together a portfolio and say, well, I want credit for these 3 courses. So in that case, it would be $90 per course. And in reality, I think when I talk to students, if you compare that to the cost of taking the class traditionally, which is generally going to be a couple $100, it's a pretty good deal.
Right.
So they have an opportunity to earn some credits pretty affordably that way. The other thing I would mention, if students have previous college coursework and they're sending their transcripts to us, we don't charge anything for that at all. They can submit a transcript to us and we'll take a look at it for free. And they tell us what program they might be interested in. We can provide a free summary of how those credits that they previously completed are going to fulfill requirements in that program. And then if they decide they're going to pursue that program, then we encourage them to submit an official transcript from that school. That may cost them $10 or $15 to request that. And once we get that official transcript, see that they've applied, we automatically process and apply any credits, any requirements within that program. They go right on their student record.
Okay, That's great. And that is a great point, that it behooves people really to do a portfolio review, because otherwise they're taking courses they may not need to take. So that's a great point.
Yeah, it's a great way to save. I would say it's a great way to save time and money.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Get credit for what you've done in your life. So in your
Yep.
past experience, yes. Well, I had one final maybe question point that came up while I was helping kind of walk a business client through this. One thing to keep in mind is kind of the time of year in looking, right? So you can always, you can always start a general education courses if you need to, for example, in the spring. But a lot of our programs really start in the fall, correct? Like that was one thing that was brought up to me to just kind of keep in mind as people are looking and maybe wanting to apply and actually get into a program, that we have these sequence of semesters.
That's very, yeah, I was going to say, Kelly, I mean, that's a great point, and that is true of some programs. Some programs have a specific start date, and I'm going to give you examples. They may or may not apply, but
Mhm.
Cosmetology, the hairstylist,
Mhm.
you are in a designated sequence of courses. A
Mhm.
lot of our business programs, you can start at any point. A lot of our IT programs actually have first 8 weeks, second 8 week. And so the sequencing they can work through. So those are pretty
Okay.
open. So it
Okay.
depends really on the program, and you kind of have a conversation. And yes, they could do general education, but the reality for me and what I try to encourage, especially for people who want to start in summer, people who are interested in Moraine Park really like the core content. So a mix of the core and gen ed. And by the way, core in Moraine Park terms is not the same as core that they may understand from high school. So our core would be the program specific. So if it was manufacturing, those manufacturing classes, if it was healthcare, those specific healthcare classes, versus general education, which might be communications or psychology.
Okay, yeah, good. And the one I was thinking of that I was talking specifically about was in the trades. And I think it was electromechanical. I was, told it starts, the program courses start in the fall. So, so good to know, and it depends. So ask those questions. We have a question in the chat. Is there a form or a process if a business wants to cover the costs for applications and paying tuition?
So they're two very different things. The application, I will touch, the classes I'll touch first. And the classes
Okay.
we can do as a third-party contract if they wish to for that individual, and the finance office would set that up with the business. And typically the business says, we're going to pay for these classes or all of these classes or how many credits, and the finance office tells them, an approximate cost, and then they are able to put that onto the student account as a third-party billing, and that goes then to the employer. They may choose to cover the cost of books as part of that contract, or they may not. The student might be on their own. The application is going to require a fee at the point of applying, and I would typically recommend people get reimbursed for that from their employer, because it's going to take a credit card, unless they want to fill out the form while they're at their employer and they can provide them a credit card number.
Okay. All right. I don't think there are any other questions. So again, if you have interest in taking a look at Moraine Park and you're in the workforce and wondering how you might get some credit for prior learning or what the steps are, please either contact Sally or Greg. Their information is here, and they can get you started. So really the first step is to just apply and start the process, and we welcome you to Moraine Park, that's for sure.
And if you have any questions before you apply, our recruitment team is there and ready for you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that, I want to thank you both, Sally and Greg, for joining us today. I really appreciate your wealth of knowledge and information and helping those who may be looking to take some courses or get a degree here at Moraine Park. So I appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
I appreciate it, the opportunity to share the information. Take care.
All right.
Yep, thanks
Bye,
for having us.
everybody.